I'm really happy to do this follow-up reading for you. So your first reading was on September 6th, 2022, and it is now October 30th, 2022. So almost 2 months ago, we did our first reading, and we're going to do a side-by-side look at your toes then and your toes now and talk about that. And in this follow-up reading, we're doing a stars to souls reading. So that includes the astrology. It's not a full astrological reading. It is an astrological reading with some key points, key messages that are coming through, especially as it pertains to where you are right now on your life journey. Your toes tell us where you are in your life journey right now. It's very important to know your location and the direction that you're headed so that you can get to where you want, so that your soul can evolve. And then I also drew a card for you because in the stars to souls, the toes tell us where you are. The stars are the overall map and destination, and the cards give us some directions for this leg of the journey, this section of the journey. And so the card that I drew for you, and I drew it from Carolyn Mrs. Archetype Cards. So this is generally for a different purpose than Oracle, but this was the deck that I felt drawn to today. And I would actually love to do an archetypal reading with you at some point. So the card that I got was the Midas Miser card. Now, remember, the cards just give us directions about where to go. And so see how this feels in your body and how it resonates as I read about the light attributes, which are entrepreneurial or creative ability to turn anything into gold, and you delight in sharing life's riches. The shadow attributes are hoarding money and emotions and feel obsessively fearful about losing your wealth. So I'm going to take this card and I'm just going to set it right here in this card holder so that I can look at this throughout the reading and have it inform the reading and where you are. I'm also going to read from this guidebook, and I will have the information about this deck in the description for this video. So Midas is associated with entrepreneurial or creative ability. Everything you touch turns to gold. The miser creates wealth by hoarding money and emotions at the expense of others and refusing to share them. So this would be the light and shadow side. So the challenge is to learn generosity is inherent. The shadow miser uses wealth-creating gifts only for personal gain and needs to control all forces for fear of losing it. So here's the guidance. Look for a pattern of creating wealth and confronting how far you're willing to go to create it. Also for a pattern of difficulty sharing wealth. So I always find it interesting when I know the people well that I'm doing readings for, and I get interesting cards like this. So this is not a card I would have just picked for you as a card that was chosen for you. And so think about how this is showing up. And as I look at your prosperity toes, in particular, how this is showing up as your ability to bring in wealth. I know that you are a highly creative person. This is your double Leo sun moon, very creative. Joy and play are very, very, very important to you. And so using those gifts to bring in the wealth, the riches of life. Okay, so looking at these toes, first of all, let's skip ahead and just have a look at the comparison. So a few differences that I'm seeing in these toes. So if we look here, these toes before were looking much more to the past, especially this communication toe here. Look at this communication toe here. It's much more straight and upright, but you've got some goofy stuff going on with the nail. So what is going on in your communication, in your expression? Where do you feel like you've got to be, like you have to hold back, where you can't fully express yourself? And same with the action toes. These two toes are still highly tied together, but look, this action toe was more present This action toe, definitely looking to the future. So both of these toes have gone from looking to the past or being in the present to looking to the future. Your relationship with self toe. Let's talk more deeply about this. What is going on in your mind, in your communication with yourself, that's creating some dissonance for your relationship with yourself? And then this little toe here is about the same, still really leaning into the relationship, this trust and prosperity toe. Remember, this is how you present to yourself, your connection with spirit, your relationship with yourself. You still have that beautiful, lovely space here. You are such an independent person. And I think that when we dive into your star chart, you're really going to, it's going to shed a lot of light onto this. When we look at this side, okay, these toes here have started migrating towards this first toe, actually cutting off some of your intuition. So what's happening here in your world that's causing those two toes, your expression and life purpose toe, to come together a little bit? And then relationship with others, you've got some callousing going on still, and then some more trust and prosperity. So small changes, not huge changes. Your life path and your spirit path. Just here's a big difference here. Look at your life path. Here it was really looking to the future back here on September 6th. And now you're a lot more solid in your life path. And so, these two toes are like, hey, okay, like we don't have to be so independent. Let us have a little rest here, and starting to lean in. And yet we don't really want our toes to be dependent or codependent on each other. There's an interdependency, a collaboration going on. So a couple of nice changes here, especially in this life path toe. And there does seem to be slightly less callousing on this relationship toe here as well. Okay, let's go back to this bigger picture so that I can really dive in to what's happening in these toes. So spirit path and life path, they look pretty solid, grounded. You are optimistic and hopeful for things. And so I feel like your spirit path and your life path are really doing well. So stay doing what you're doing with that. You're on the right path. You're feeling independent spiritually and emotionally. And that's really good, feeling more independent as an individual. Beautiful, beautiful. Here, this toe in your life path is nice and straight and grounded, but your communication expression toe is leaning into this. So are you gaining a lot of personal value or esteem, or is your value attached to your life path? I know that you are more solid in your life path now as far as work and career. And is your expression, are you feeling like there's a specific box or mold that you need to fit into for your specific profession? That's a really great question for you to contemplate. You've escaped some boxes, but are you just putting yourself into another box, particularly how it looks to the outside world to be a certain profession? Contemplate on that a little bit. Communication and expression generally seem like they are an area of struggle for you right now. So where do you feel like you're not expressing and communicating in a way that honors you and in a way that feels good to you? And where are you worried that you're going to rock the boat, worried that you're going to upset the piece, worried that if you change the dance, you're going to get rejected? Who are you worried about rejecting you if you change the dance. And I put that in quotations, change the dance, having to do with that dance analogy when you change the dance. Trust your intuition. You've got a nice open line of intuition here. Trust you in your intuition. Just take a moment and close your eyes and ask yourself the question, where do I feel my intuition in my body? When do I feel the most intuitive? And identify those things so that you can go back to them and you can trust them. I really highly recommend soaking your feet in some Epsom salts and water with some peppermint essential oil. When we skip over here to your chart, you have a lot of fire in your chart. You've got your Mercury, your Moon, your Leo, and your Jupiter, not your Jupiter, your Pluto, all in fire signs, okay? So your sun and your moon both being in the fiery sign of Leo, and Mercury, a very close personal planet. These are, you got a lot of fire. So going here and in the water with the peppermint essential oil to just cool things for you a little bit, and just pay attention to how that feels and where you're feeling that intuition in your body. Additionally, your chart signature is fixed fire. Okay, so fixed energy is stubborn energy. Fixed likes things how they are. They're a little uncomfortable with change. And then you've got all that fire that just wants to blaze forward. And so really finding the peace with the fact that, yes, you do like this, like you like stability. You like things to be a little bit more predictable. That's the fixed side of you. And then, the other side of that is all this fire you have in you that just will blaze forward. And Mercury is in your Leo, and Mercury is the ruler of these toes. I have the feeling that there are some things that you would love to say, and you try to be really diplomatic. You try and really look out for other people's feelings. You know that you've got a sharp and fiery tongue. Ooh. Whenever the yawn comes, that's an energy release. Allow that energy to release. You can be direct. You can speak firmly. You can speak your truth. The part of looking out for other people, wondering how it's going to be received, worrying about other people's feelings, you've got that. That's something that you have mastered. In fact, I want to just have one other look at your chart here. So, your North Node is going to be over here in Aquarius. And so diplomacy, these are things that you have already mastered. What you want to master is being more direct, always in kindness, speaking your truth. I know that that's something that you haven't always felt like you could do, and that you were not always given permission by anyone outside of yourself. You are your own permission slip. Additionally, you weren't always taught that because, we just didn't know better. Your parents just didn't know better. They didn't know how to teach that to you. And so you're at a point in your life where you really have the opportunity to expand that. Speaking of your spirit path toe, you are also at a point right now of great spiritual expansion, because your Jupiter, which is the expander, Jupiter is a very joyful and expanding planet here in the very spiritual sign of Pisces. and in your 12th house, which is the house of transformation, the house of transcendence. And Jupiter in the sky right now in your transit is actually right on top of your natal Jupiter. So this is a fantastic opportunity for you to really dive deep into some of the questions of Pisces. And I'm just going to read you a few key words about Pisces. And just find that page in my notes here. So Pisces is the ruler of the 12th house. The 12th house is about your soul. It's about reform. It's about rest. It's about surrender. Pisces is about ease, inspiration, bliss, spirituality, wonder, and interconnectedness. Now, some of the low vibrations of Pisces are self-sacrifice. Okay, so this is where being in that water would be really, really helpful because Pisces is a water sign. So that's soaking your feet in the water. And I would do that here in the next week. Well, Jupiter is right on top of your natal Jupiter to really harness that energy and expand that beautiful Jupiter in Pisces expansion of spirituality and intuition. Pisces is a highly intuitive sign. All right, back to your Mercury toes, your communication expression toes, your second toes here. Massaging these toes, especially after being in that water bath, is going to be really, really, really effective because there are things that it is important that you vocalize and that you have the opportunity to get fixed back into your joy and your natal signature of liking things fixed. What does that look like? Especially here in the outside world. You're working on what you're saying to yourself. How does that translate to what you're saying out there? Your action toes, okay? Continuing to take action. It is really important. There is a slight webbing, not much, but just the length of these toes indicates how important it is that you're speaking and acting in alignment. The speaking and acting must be in alignment. And this action toe on your on your right foot could really use some massage. As you gently massage that and ask yourself the question, what's the action right now for me to take? That's really going to do a lot of good for you. So speaking of, the ruler of this toe is Mars. And Mars in your natal chart is here at 11 degrees Cancer. Okay, Cancer is ruled by the moon. Cancer is very, well, let's just say Jupiter doesn't love being, or I'm sorry, Mars doesn't love being in Cancer. In fact, when it's in Cancer, it's what's called fall or detriment. And that's because Cancer energy is slower. Cancer energy is water. Cancer energy is about joy and being in this safe and sacred space. Mars wants to move forward. Mars wants to take care of things. Mars wants to take action. The fact that your Mars is at 11 degrees Cancer. 11 is the doorway. 11 is a magical number. It's the portal. This is why I say, even though your South Node is over here in Pisces, the fact that your Mars is in Cancer is another reason why you have mastered already the skill of instantly, in almost an instant, and just in your soul, knowing how to communicate with others in a way that empowers them. And this is really important to you. The fourth house that your Mars is in is about your close family. And your Mars is there. And so being direct doesn't mean being fiery and mean for you. It doesn't ever, but sometimes that's the way that it's perceived. You have the innate ability with your Mars in Cancer to have more softness about the way that you speak. And remember, Cancer is the crab. Cancer has those little pincers. Okay, so it's okay once in a while if someone has very much crossed a boundary or is not okay, you're not okay with the way that somebody is interacting or being in your personal space that doesn't belong. Yep. You can directly and with love for yourself and for everyone else in your circles, invite them to leave. Okay. Since we're talking about your fourth house and your sun is here in the fourth house in the sign of Leo. So because your sun is there, you very much have a very strong identity with your family, with your family of origin, as well as with your family that you will create, as well as your family of choice. Choose your people wisely and make sure that they are in alignment with you. If not, they can go bye-bye. There's other people for them. And it's not rejecting them. It just means it doesn't work for you. And that's okay. With 8 billion people on the planet, your group of people, your circle of people, we just don't want to have people in our lives that are draining us, people in our lives that are not serving us, and that we don't feel that we're adding value to them. Any of these vampire-like relationships, they just don't belong in our reality. And this is very important for you with your sun in that fourth house. Okay, going back here. So again, take action. You are a fiery person. Take that beautiful, beautiful action. Love it so much. And please don't be afraid to shine. You are born to shine. Your sun and your moon are both in Leo. You've got this beautiful hope and positivity, this sunny, joy-loving, personality that you are really born with. When we look at your ascendant, okay, this is how people experience you. It's here in Aries. You have so much fire. That's how people see you. And so to try and tamp that down, to try and put that fire out, that's never going to work for you. And that, in fact, is the number one thing I think that is happening in all of the blocked energy of your toes is you fear your fire. Please don't fear your fire. I know, because I know you, that you have had experiences with people that have a lot of this Aries energy that have not been pleasant. People that the fire has been scary and unpredictable to you. And your fixed energy does not like that unpredictability, but your fiery energy loves it. Fire can be dangerous and unpredictable. And fire is the game changer for people. Fire is what gets things started, especially the cardinal fire of Aries. Okay, you're a go-getter, you're an initiator, you are creative, you have great ideas, and you know how to go after them. You accomplish your goals. Always do that. Love that about yourself, embrace that about yourself, and release any fear you have about that. You really fear how this is going to show up in your relationships because you've seen it be destructive. You've seen too much fire be destructive in relationships. That doesn't have to be your story. That's a generational story from the past that we see here and we read in your relationship toes. It's a generational story from the past, and it doesn't have to be your story. So as you rub these toes and massage these toes, what is your story of how to use this fire, how to heal these generational wounds? I feel called to pull another card for you. It is an animal totem for you for right now. While I'm doing this, consider the question, what does my story look like? With all my fire, does my fire have to be destructive? No. In fact, your fire can be the most productive gift of all time. It's what changed the course of humanity, was fire. Ooh, the card I drew for you is the owl. Magic. I'm going to put that right here next to this other card. I'll hold it up here so you can see it. And I'll send you pictures of these individual cards. This is from the deck by Jody Bergsma, Spirit of the Animals. Owl is magic. Choose to know the truth because you can. Open your inner vision. That's your intuition. You can see through deception. Trust your intuition. Let the past go. Ooh, yeah, this is for you. This is for you. Let the past go and make room for a better life. Rise up. Magic and wisdom are your birthright. When I read from the book here about owl magic, the key words are wisdom, learning, protection, warnings, messenger, magic, night vision, silent flight, revealer of secrets, and shapeshifter. Owl is the messenger and the revealer of secrets. What secrets are stuck in those relationship toes? That it's time to shine the light on, Leo girl. Leo sun, Leo moon. That is part of your job, is to shine the light of the sun. The sun is the ruler of Leo. Shine the light on the shadows. I find it fascinating that this card, it's a nocturnal animal. Owls are nocturnal, and you are asking to shine a light to reveal the secrets. The totem of oracles and seers, owl sits on their shoulder and is their advisor. When owl flies into your life, know that a time of unveiling is at hand. Jupiter over Jupiter. Ooh, this is all real. You can't make this stuff up. Unveiling is at hand and the truth will be made known. Change is on the wind. Owl medicine can help you release the past and fly into a better future. Owls are creatures of the night. Their silent flight and superior vision make them supreme hunters. They capture the prize. That sounds like you, always going after that prize and getting it. If they cross your path repeatedly, it's a warning to review your situation and see where deception is lurking. To see an owl can be an omen that a profound change is coming. If owl is your totem, you are an old soul, and we have known this for a long, long time. You succeed with wisdom. You are a seeker of wisdom. No one can deceive you. As long as you trust your intuition, no one can deceive you. And you see into others' souls. Be sure to keep your knowledge secret unless asked to provide counsel. Trust should not be broken. The night is auspicious for owl people. When the moon is full, and we do have a full moon lunar eclipse happening on November 8th in the sign of Taurus, which is where your Saturn is. We'll talk about that in a minute. I encourage you to take full advantage of that beautiful full moon that's happening here in just a week and a half. When the moon is full, you are creative and energized. Love that. You can see in the dark and appreciate life's magic. Ask your owl totem to sit on your shoulder and guide you. Become the conscious student of owl. Embrace your gifts and fly with the masters. Here's some of the contrary. Have you allowed yourself to be deceived? Is owl asking you to release the past so you can change and take flight? Are you in the dark about a situation? And what secrets do you need to discover to know your truth? I would ask those questions when you are massaging that fourth toe. So much of this is generational. So much of this is blocked energy because you feared your fire, and it's time to release that. Shine a light on it and let it go. These are your prosperity and trust toes, and they look largely the same as before. And I think that this is where this Midas Miser card comes in. Where in your life are you feeling scarcity around money, particularly? And do you trust yourself? And do you trust the universe to take care of you when it comes to prosperity? Let's look more in depth at your chart here. So the full moon is happening in Taurus, in the sign of Taurus. And Taurus is a powerful place for you also because you've got your Saturn here. So where Saturn shows up, and by the way, Taurus is also a fixed sign. Where Saturn shows up, Saturn really represents structure, hierarchy. Are you stuck in a hierarchy when it comes to your prosperity? Do you feel like it has to go through a chain of some kind of hierarchy to get to you? It's time to transcend that. Saturn in your chart also represents the father figure. And the father figure, it can be strict. Taurus is a bull. And so Taurus in its light qualities, Taurus is like Ferdinand the Bull, really just loves all the beautiful things in life. Taurus on the shadow side can be stubborn and can be the bull in the china closet. Because Saturn sits here in Taurus and represents your father, that might be some of the generational things that it's time to shine the light on and dismiss and make a different story. Interestingly, in your chart, in all charts, the moon represents the mother, and your mother is in the 5th house, which is Leo, the house of your sun and your own moon. So Leo is about joy. It's about play. It's about pleasure. It's about shining. So really allow those non-negotiable moon needs to be met. You need to play. You need to have fun. You need a creative outlet. These are non-negotiable for you. It is important that you take care of those moon needs with your moon there. So much fire here with these 3 things. Interestingly, with your Saturn in Taurus over here, which is the first earth sign, the cardinal or the fixed earth sign, we come over here and we have the mutable sign of Virgo, which is also an earth sign. And this is your north node. Your north node is where you're stretching into. It's pushing the edges of your comfort zone. Virgo is about wholeness. It's about health. The shadow side of it is perfection. And I know that perfection is something that you have dealt with. And that's the shadow side of this north node. That's the shadow side of the Virgo. And so where can you stretch into that? And then we move over here and you are attracted to, this is your descendant. You are attracted to relationships of balance, relationships of equality. And in fact, any relationship that doesn't fall into equality will not work for you. You are not into hierarchy. And in a hierarchy, you would rather be looking to an authority than being the authority. But this is culturally trained into you. You are the authority. And yet, authority is simply the author of your own life. Authority really has nothing to do with hierarchy and the patriarchy. That's how culture has made it be. But it is not true. You are the author of your own life. And these relationships of balance are very, very important. When you have your ascendant here in Aries, this is about independence. Then your descendant is about interdependence. And so when we look at your toes, it's about being independent and having collaborative interdependent, not codependent, because I know that that's something else that you've sometimes dealt with is codependency. Interdependent, where everyone works together to create the whole. Beautiful. Your Chiron is here in Scorpio, which is a fascinating sign to have your Chiron. And your Chiron is your wound. Your wound is in the sign of transformation and rebirth. And that has a lot to do with what we've talked about earlier in this session, is transforming and rewriting your own story as the author of your own story. Pluto here, Pluto, the other great transformer, here in Sagittarius, and in the 8th house. So Pluto rules the 8th house. And one other thing over here, with Chiron in your 7th house, and it here in the sign of Libra. Libra is the ruler of the 7th house. This just adds to the evidence, if you will, of your absolute ability to transform relationships, to transform what it is to be independent and what it is to be interdependent. Beautiful. Like I said, Pluto is the ruler of the 8th house. It is in the sign of Sagittarius. And in the sign of Sagittarius, Sagittarius is about being an explorer. You are here to transform what it looks like to explore. You are here to open your mind to new possibilities. The shadow side of Sagittarius can be rigid beliefs and rigid fixedness. And you are, part of your signature is fixed, so just be aware of that. Your midheaven is here in the beautiful sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is the sign of business. It's the sign of other structures. And it's the sign of achievement. And you are such an achiever. You are such an achiever in this. This also, I think, has to do with that Midas miser because of the entrepreneurial stuff. I know that you don't have an interest in being an entrepreneur, and yet in your profession, that entrepreneurial spirit is what will differentiate you and set you apart within the container of your chosen profession. They call them intrapreneurs. It's somebody who displays the entrepreneurial spirit within an existing business or structure. So well done on that. We move around here, and we already talked about Jupiter and Pisces and taking advantage of, or I don't really like that wording, but just really basking in the energy that you have right now around expanding your spiritual beliefs. Sagittarius is also a very spiritual sign, and Pluto the transformer is here. Your Venus is here in the beautiful sign of Cancer. So your Mars and your Venus are both in the beautiful sign of Cancer. Feeling safety is very important to you. And also the fact that Mercury is in your 3rd house, the house of communication, the house of the house of expression. And this is another reason why you don't need to fear your fire. Astrologically, you chose a chart that has both Venus, which is how we relate to others, the way that it's our attraction energy, it's our connection energy, and Mars are both there in Cancer, and Mars in your 4th house, house of family, and Venus in your 3rd house, the house of communication. So any fire that you have around those things, you don't need to worry about it. You've mastered that. Again, what it's your time to master is speaking your truth, being direct, and aligning that. I hope that you found this helpful, and I can't wait to talk with you more about it.